Many of us are aware that this year there's been a significant amount of job loss, especially in tech giants like Amazon, Twitter, and so on. What exactly is the reason for the job cut? Also, due to a devastating financial crisis, the market value of even the biggest tech companies have crumbled. Watch this video to the end to get details about these. Firstly, what are 3 significant tech firms that started a wave of mass layoffs in 2022? Amazon is first on the list. Data scientists, software engineers, and other business employees will all be let go from the company's numerous facilities as of Tuesday, November 15th, the corporation informed local authorities in California. Beginning on January 17th, 2023, such job losses would take effect. Amazon declined to say how many additional layoffs may be planned beyond those already verified through WARN, the California Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, or WARN, requires employers to give 60 days notice if they have 75 or more full-time or part-time employees. Next, there's Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook's parent company, Meta, stated on November 9th that the firm is laying off 11,000 employees, or approximately 13% of its staff, as it struggles with declining revenue and larger problems in the digital sector. According to Zuckerberg, he decided to hire quickly because he expected substantial growth, even after the pandemic lockdowns were lifted. Zuckerberg said in a statement, "Unfortunately, this did not play out the way he intended. Online sales have not only resumed their previous patterns, but the revenue has been substantially lower than he had anticipated due to the financial slump, increasing competition, and ad signal loss." He acknowledged that he made a mistake in this. Lastly on this list, there's Tesla. Elon Musk announced in June 2022 that Tesla Inc. would reduce its paid employment by around 10% during the ensuing 3 months, but that the company's overall headcount would only decrease by about 3.5% because more people will be hired on an hourly basis. At the Qatar Economic Forum on Tuesday, Elon stated in an interview with Bloomberg News editor-in-chief John Micklethwaite that they grew quite fast on the salary side. In a report by Bloomberg, he stated that a year from now, I anticipate our headcount will be greater, but that the current drop will be between 3 and 3.5%. The market value of leading tech businesses fell significantly in 2022. The financial crisis is also having an impact on tech companies, according to statistics provided by Finbold Finance News Agency. Since the start of 2022, it seems like 5 of the top US-based firms have been losing ground. The rising inflation issues impacted companies like Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Microsoft, and Tesla, which resulted in a significant decline in their market values from the start of the current year. The initial market participants in the trillion-dollar space were both Windows and Apple. Amazon and Alphabet, the parent firm of Google, followed these two after some time. But this is not the first time these businesses have struggled. Aside from Microsoft, 4 out of 5 also suffered during the COVID-19 pandemic. Since everything moved online, Microsoft, instead of seeing a decline, became one of those businesses that continued to make significant profits, even during the global economic crisis. This is one of the reasons why Microsoft was able to preserve its status as a firm worth $1 trillion, while other well-known companies were finding it difficult to catch up. Facebook, founded by Mark Zuckerberg, joined the group shortly after as the 5th member. In the previous year, Apple's net worth stood at roughly 96% more than the global GDP. The biggest victim when things began to fall apart for these well-known brands was Amazon, which saw a loss of roughly 50% in market value. Amazon was followed by the business that owns Google and by Elon Musk's Tesla. As a result, 2 out of the 5 businesses were kicked out of the club after suffering losses of almost $3.41 trillion. The escalating economic issues and newly implemented policies are among the main causes of the instability of the businesses that were steady throughout the pandemic. The stock market is being severely impacted by the present inflation situation, which is further complicating things. However, because these businesses have experience and know how to handle these situations, it may be anticipated that future initiatives may enable them to rejoin the trillion-dollar club. What's the reason behind the job cuts at the top tech companies? Amazon's job layoffs were first detected by the LinkedIn posts of fired employees. Then, Dave Lim, Amazon's head of devices, made a statement stating that it pains him and that they will lose talented Amazonians from the devices and services organization. Workers at companies like Twitter, Meta, Coinbase, and Snap have declared they're seeking new possibilities across the digital sector. According to the Layoffs.fyi website, which records tech job layoffs, more than 120,000 positions have been lost globally. There are common elements among the reasons why different businesses lay off people. The tech companies' businesses grew as our lives migrated online during the pandemic, and executives thought the good times for them would continue to roll. For instance, Meta hired over 15,000 individuals in the first 9 months of this year. Now that cuts have been announced, executives claim they made a mistake. CEO Mark Zuckerberg informed Meta staff that he had decided to raise investments considerably, and unfortunately, things did not go as he had anticipated, while laying off 13% of them. So what are the reasons for the layoffs? Firstly, market shifts. Many tech companies rely heavily on online advertisements for revenue, but the future of the advertising industry is looking bleak. Businesses are now dealing with more pushback to their invasive advertising tactics. For instance, Apple makes it more difficult to track users' internet activities and sell that information to marketers. And as the economy suffered, many businesses cut their spending on web advertising. Companies have been impacted by higher interest rates. In the financial technology sector, IT expert Paolo Pescatore of PP Foresight said that it's been a terribly dismal quarter of earnings for many of the top tech businesses and that none of them are immune. Even Apple has issued a warning, with CEO Tim Cook stating that the company was still employing but only on a deliberate basis. Amazon blamed its layoffs on an unusual and unstable macroeconomic climate that made it focus on what consumers cared about most. According to spokesperson Kelly Nantle, they always examine each of their businesses and consider what they think they should change as part of their yearly operating planning review process. She then stated that, as they've gone through this, some teams are making modifications, which in some situations implies specific roles are no longer necessary because of the present macroeconomic environment, as well as several years of rapid hiring. She concluded by stating that they don't take those decisions lightly and that they're doing everything they can to support any affected staff. What are the remaining two reasons? The second reason behind the job cuts is to cut the bloat. Investors have increased the pressure on companies to reduce expenses by claiming that they are bloated and reluctant to act when there are signs of a slowdown. Activist investor Sir Christopher Hahn asked Alphabet, the corporation that owns Google and YouTube, to cut employees and compensation in an open letter. He claimed that Alphabet needed to be more cost-conscious and cut losses from initiatives like its Waymo self-driving car startup. Elon Musk is of the opinion that there is room for cost-cutting at Twitter, his most recent venture, which has had difficulty making a profit or luring in new users. Additionally, a lot of analysts contend that Mr. Musk spent too much for the company and that it's now necessary to justify his investment. He fired half the workforce of the company, promising an extreme work ethic for those who remained. According to allegations in U.S. media on Tuesday, Mr. Musk instructed personnel to either adhere to a hardcore culture of long hours at high intensity or quit. A third reason is that there are no more blue skies. According to industry observer Scott Kessler, there is less tolerance for large investments in high-tech bets that could not pay off in the near future, such as virtual reality or autonomous automobiles. Investors believe that some of the lucrative benefits and high pay in the sector are unsustainable. He remarked that some organizations have had to deal with tough realities. According to Mike Morini from Workforce Software, a provider of digital management systems, it appears to be a turning point. He declared that the tech industry is ending a phase of growth at all costs. Although the major tech companies may be hampered by the economy, they are still intact. Only 3% of Amazon's office personnel would be affected by the proposed 10,000 job cuts in business and technology roles, which would be the company's largest such decrease to date. And the termination of skilled employees by large corporations may also result in the founding of startup companies. Mike Malone, a longtime observer of Silicon Valley, recently told the BBC that the valley won't be dismissed just yet. He was still hopeful. Were you affected by the job cuts? Or do you know anyone that was affected by it? Also, what other topic do you want us to discuss? Let us know in the comment section. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel to know more about the happenings in the business world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.